I'm Seema Anand. I'm a storyteller, a mythologist, and I work specifically with female narratives, with women's narratives, specializing in the erotic literatures of ancient India. Today, I'm going to be reacting to comments on the internet around female anatomy and pleasure. How exactly does a woman come? When I orgasm, sometimes I squirt, but the white stuff never comes out like most females have. So the wonderful thing about female orgasms is that they can take pretty much any shape at all. There's no set way for a female to come. If you feel the excitement, if you feel the pleasure inside you, if you feel good at the end of it, it's an orgasm. I'm a 15-year-old girl. I've been masturbating for quite a while now and noticed that whenever I come, it doesn't feel strong like it used to be. What should I do? Female orgasms vary. They vary with age, they vary with the season, they vary with times, they vary with what's going on in your head. Your idea of pleasure will change constantly through your entire life. So don't worry about whether you think it's strong or not. The idea is enjoy it. This should be pleasurable. It's not a test. Just go chill and have fun. Oh my God, I remember my ex-girlfriend saying, move, move, I'm gonna pee. And when I stopped, she stood up and said, oh, it's gone. Poor girl, she missed the pleasure. Really? Is that what you think this was about? People don't understand that actually that desire to pee is sometimes the very edge of the pleasure, and stopping it at that point only extends the female pleasure. It doesn't mean it actually goes away. If it goes away, it's only because the man hasn't had the ability to take it further after that. Arousal begins in the mind. Start your seduction before any clothing comes off. You are absolutely right. That is exactly how it should be. You know, seduction does begin in the mind. Arousal begins in the mind. Fantasy begins in the mind. Get your mind into the right place. Get yourself feeling happy, chilled, relaxed, ready for the pleasure to come before you start anything. Harder and faster isn't always better. No one likes to be punched in the vagina while you attempt to get me off with your hand. Please stop trying to use us as hand puppets. This has the opposite effect of foreplay. Oh my God, I wish this could actually be printed up onto huge big billboards and pasted across every road and every highway, and maybe then it'll actually get through to the guys. The beginning of any kind of intimacy should be really, really slow. The more light the touch, the more it actually sensitizes that part of your body. All of the things that people think are so passionate, like love bites or love scratches or kind of getting really rough with each other, should come much, much later in the lovemaking, when the passions are really, really up. You don't start with that. Thinking about the time a guy and I were making out and getting touchy, and he put his hand under my crotch and said, "It's wet. Why is it wet?" And I said, "Because you're hot." And he yelled, "Oh my God, did you pee on me?" I tried explaining it to him, but I was laughing too hard. Okay, so I think that sex education classes really need to up their game. We need to start teaching people about the anatomy of pleasure, what actually happens when you get excited, what happens when you get aroused, what happens when you're not aroused enough, and so on. And for anybody listening out there, yes, when women get aroused, they become wet down there. It's not because she peed on you. She's aroused because she thought you were worth being aroused for. The idea of men being knowledgeable on how to fully satisfy a woman is a thought which is more ignored than adhered to in Indian society. Absolutely right. You know, in ancient times, young men would actually be sent to courtesans to learn how to pleasure a woman properly, because long-lasting sexual relationship between a man and a woman eventually depends on how much pleasure a woman gets out of that intimate relationship. If it becomes just a painful, annoying experience, she's going to go off it pretty soon and you will be left high and dry. So yes, it's really, really important that men are taught how to pleasure a woman and all about the pleasure of a woman. Treat it like an art form. A previous boyfriend said that women were always horny because we are always wet down there. No, women are not always horny. They say that a woman's pleasure is like water. It takes a very long time for it to come to the boil, and it takes a very long time for it to go down. If you are lucky enough to be able to arouse a woman fully, it'll take time, but I'll tell you what, it's worth it, because after that, the pleasure lasts in our mind and in our bodies for a very long time. We don't have a button that you can press to send us to those little heights of passion. That's up to you, to how far you can actually get us to feel like that. Regardless, my ex stated, women don't like having their nipples played with during sex because it makes them feel motherly. Something, the mother hormones are released. Women have to grow out of their hymen before they reach sexual maturity. So the penis of their partner has to rip all the way through to make her ovulate. Wow, which school of lovemaking and bodily functions are you going to? The clit is always the same size on every woman. He knew this because me and his ex had the same size clit. This was meant to be a compliment. Was he actually walking around with a measuring tape and measuring out the clits? Really, I mean, what kind of morons do we have out there? Women are more into BDSM than men because it makes their bodies think they're in labor. And something makes you think that labor is sexy and labor is pleasurable. I think men should go into labor and have babies, and I think it'd be lovely for them to find out just how exciting and sexy it can be. As you can see, the internet is full of misunderstandings around the female anatomy, and this was just the tip of the iceberg. So definitely watch Dr. Tanea, Dr. Cuteris's video for more on that.